Welcome back to the lab, and welcome to my first unboxing video. Well, maybe not my first, but the first one for this project, and it just occurred to me a few minutes ago that this is 10 items right here. So this is all for one project. Alright, so let's put that aside for a moment. Sit down and start pulling them out one by one and run through them. Alright, okay, the first one that arrived was this one. And I know what it is, just because it's been a couple of weeks. It took time for everything to arrive. But this should be... Alright. I'll have to put this in another bag for better storage, but this should be the headers that are going to go on my circuit boards. Yep, they're tiny, but there they are. So let's put this aside for a moment. Move right on to number 2A actually, because I got two of them on the same day. And this is going to be a circuit board. This is not an endorsement for a particular circuit board manufacturer, but it's who I happen to use. And they've been quite reliable, so for 7 different circuit boards, I decided it made sense to go with them. Good old JLC PCB. Now this, if I'm not mistaken, let's see if I am. Okay, yep. Wow, I'm going to have a lot of packing material when I'm done. And boxes. This is keys. Wow, okay. Okay, let's take a look. I'm curious where they put the number on these. Yeah, they put the number right on the bottom. So I can flip the key over. This is the white key, and this should be about 30 of them. These are, now if you look at, what a mess. If I stack them up, okay, that's not working. There we go. If I stack up a whole bunch of them, you can kind of see they are thin. These are 1 millimeter thick instead of the usual 1.6. That means they have a bit of flex to them. And that was intentional. These are the keys that are going to be on the keyboard. So that is the white keys. Put these in the box. Move on to 2B. I'll come back to that in a moment. Here's 2B. Yes, 2B. Or not 2B. Sorry, I had to. Here we go again. Same company. Very light. I believe this is going to be the black keys. So... interesting, yep. Now, if you happen to look at this right off the bat, it doesn't quite look like black keys, but give me a moment here. I'll cut this puppy open. I'll try not to cut it on the side of the... I'm going to leave them in the bag here. This is a black key. Believe it or not, this is the back side of the black key. Unfortunately, it looks like they put the numbers on the black side. I should have anticipated that somehow, because they usually put it on the front of the circuit board. Not a big deal. I can live with that. I can take a Sharpie and or a marker. No specific brands here. There we go. Problem solved. Now, the reason why it's double-sided like that and how I managed to do this, the reason for it is because sometimes I'm going to need a black key and sometimes I'm going to need a filler where there shouldn't be a black key. So the fillers are going to be white, much like the white keys. Oop, I guess I have that upside down. And actually, now that I think of it, I've got the numbers. Oh, that's right. I can turn over the white keys. So there you go. If you can kind of imagine having a few keys going along that direction. Now, we will get to constructing all of this in another video, but that should give you an idea. Now, that's, you know, with a white key, here's your black key. And if you can imagine the black key will be a little bit taller. And I'll get to that, a little more of that in a moment. But let's put this black key in with the others, put that in a box, put it off to the side, put the white key back, and on to number 3. And I think I know what this one is, but I'm not sure. It's actually heavier. Oh, okay, yeah. I believe this is going to be the baseboard, which I kind of needed to show you what the keys were about if you haven't been following the project. But there we go. And yep, it's the baseboard, the switchboard, so to speak. This is the new revision of the switchboard. The earlier one, if you can kind of imagine, had a little bit cut off of it. It was only 7 out of 8 keys. This is full 8 keys. I do realize that when you put 2 of these next to each other, you end up with actually more than an octave. Another change was the switches. I went from a surface mount switch to an actual through-hole switch, and I've ordered up the switches. We'll see that eventually. And this is where those headers go, the first one that I opened. So that is the switchboard for these. You put that in a box. And on to 4A and 4B, arriving on the same day. It's like Christmas around here in mid-September. Okay, the first of the spacers. This appears to be the half spacer. Oh, interesting. I just noticed they actually left me a way to open it. Thank you, guys. Alright, so these are purple. I went with 3 different non-black and white colors for my spacers. These are the half spacers. Let me pull out one of the switchboards. So now, just to give you an idea, if I've got a spacer sitting on here, I think I got that backwards. Yep. If I have a spacer sitting on here, and then I'll get another spacer, and I can put that on there. So this is what I mean by a half spacer. It covers half of the switchboard. And the parts that are sticking out are for the black keys. Actually, no, I did have it right the first time. Should be more like that. So if you can imagine all these holes actually lining up. Is there a little nub on there? Huh. Okay. Imagine them all kind of lining up. And so these extra little pieces that are sticking out are make it so that the white keys will come out further before they deflect to go down and hit the switch, because these switches are further down than these switches up here. So these are the halves. Now the halves could also theoretically go across 2 keys and onto the next board. That is part of the idea. This is all going to be kind of a bricklaying type of situation. Let's open up the next one and I'll make that a little bit clearer. I'm going to leave the switchboard there. And let's grab 4B. Let me get rid of some stuff. And while I'm thinking about it and opening it up, let me get another one of the switchboards there. And I guess that this is one more of my spacers. Alright. Oh, I'm wrong. They came in a slightly different order than I thought. Alright, well, I will explain what this is. This, if I open it up, how did I not spot that in the early ones? I think what this is they may have been in different factories. Sorry, that may have been really loud there. I'll deal with it in post. One factory is doing the sort of bubble wrap and where they suck all the air out of it. The factory, they're doing it a little bit differently. I think that's what's going on. Because it really doesn't make a lot of sense for them to do it two different ways in the same factory. This is the module for, actually I kind of have that around the wrong way, for testing out the boards. And if you look, the header right here lines up with the header below. So if I wanted to test out a full octave, I could build two of these and line them up like that. That way I could test out the full octave, and as I push each key, a light is going to come on, and the light will, depending on the keys I hit, they will change color and intensity. That will allow me to figure out if all the keys are actually functional. Now, there will be a couple of keys that will be skipped over because, if you think about it, a piano is going to tend to have, like, let's say these two black keys and then these three black keys. So this one and this one are not, sorry, these two are going to be blank. Those are going to be when I turn those black keys over and make them just spacers, just fillers. More of that when we get to the actual build, but that is this particular item. Put that aside and move on to 4. Oh, that's right, 4C. I got 4 circuit boards in the same day. 4A, 4B, 4C, 4D. This was just so I could keep track of it internally. Oh, this is different. It's in a different box. Doesn't say who made it, but I know who made it. Number of items. Okay. The fact that there's 100 of these in here, that's what this is because this is no longer prototype. This was actually considered a small batch. And the reason why I ordered 100 will become obvious well, maybe obvious in a moment. Wow, they really packed that. Okay, but it's this type of, it's still this kind of thing where I think I can open it just by pulling on the thing, yeah. So, why are there 100 of them? Because I'm gonna need them as spacers. So this is the second of 3 spacers. I think the next one I open will probably be the other spacers. And that's actually all of the circuit boards. But these are 1.6, actually all the spacers are 1.6 millimeters thick, but I can take 3 of these and stack them up, and I can sit them on top of the other spacers and at the same time on top of the black keys to raise the black keys up higher than the white keys. So that was the idea with that. I'm going to put this back in the bag and hope I don't spill out too many all over the floor. But trust me, there should be, well, I'm going to trust them that there's 100 of them in there. That's just a small little bag, but whoop, see what I mean? They're all falling out. All right, let me put this in the box. Safekeeping. Well, all right, fine. It didn't want to stay in the bag, so there we go. That is that. That makes me happy to have all of those. This only leaves one more thing that this could be, and that is the full-sized spacer. Arriving on that same day. Back to the blue box. I didn't know that about JLC PCB, that they would actually send it in a different color box. Watching other people's videos, sometimes I see a different color box, and I didn't really know if there was anything to it. Wow, these seem like they might be larger than I was expecting. Alright, well, here's the blue, the full spacers. And so, let me put this across, demonstrate what I was trying to say before. One of the good things about this is I can run this across 2 of these circuit boards. And what it'll do is, if I put, let's say if I had a full one here and a full one here, and just imagine that the holes are actually lining up. I'm not going to fuss with it. And then I had another one across the middle here. This is laying them kind of like bricks. And that should add to the rigidity of this entire system, so that this core of the system, the switchboard for the modular keyboard, it just gives it the rigidity that it needs. Again, this will all become more apparent in the video when I actually put it together. So I'm going to take these out of that bag, put them back in here. That is the end of the circuit boards, but we still have the 2 bags that arrived today. So, oh, this one's already open. That's not wonderful. Let's hope everything's good. I promise I did not open that, I think. And you can see there's extra tape on here. Unsealing is strictly prohibited. It was unsealed. But this is the switches in various heights. So these switches are going to go where you see here on these different locations. They are all, or almost all of them, are 6x6. That is the spacing of the holes, or something like that. I need to double check that. But the idea is there's 4.3 through like 10 or 12 millimeter tall, and so the shorter ones are going to go for the white keys, the taller ones are going to go for the black keys, so again the black keys are up above the white keys, so it feels more like a keyboard. So that's the switches, that's the assortment that allows me to kind of play with the spacers and see what's going to work. And this should be the last ingredient. The one that holds everything together. And kind of anticlimactic. This is a series of bolts and nuts. And the idea is I have 2 different length of bolts that I ordered. I believe it was 10 millimeter and 15 millimeter or something like that. Again, the idea being that I'm going to need the white bolts for the white keys and the black bolts for the black keys. So that's everything for this project, unboxed and ready to go for me to organize myself and get ready to actually assemble. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned because there will be a build.